Aloha and welcome. My name is Taylor Norris, and I'm a certified quantum soul guidance, galactic astrology soul reader, as well as a Reiki master and intuitive astrologer. And in today's video, I will be sharing with all of you this galactic astrology mini reading for Stargate New York. So what is galactic astrology? It is an unbelievably amazing modality that looks at the astrology combined with the intuition and the soul records to answer some of the most fundamental questions about existence and metaphysics as it pertains to an individual. So, a reading can answer the questions: who are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here? Where are you going next? Looking at future lives, past lives, earthly past lives, galactic past lives. Getting a real sense for your soul history, your soul records. Where have you been? Who are you at the deepest, truest, most fundamental part of you, all the way back to the origin. So we also look at the lifetimes of mastery. I'm very interested in that. The gifts, the talents, the blessings, the miracles, and magic, really bringing that in. And these readings are incredibly helpful for validating your intuition. So join me now through this portal as we travel across time and space into this amazing void space where all of the cosmic information is able to be received and brought in, invited into our awareness so we can become more of who we truly are. So this is a bit about how the reading works. I look at the galactic astrology charts, which I'll show you momentarily, the natal birth chart, as well as use my intuition and Reiki energy healing in the full reading. But Reiki is on now to support the intuitive opening, allowing me to be a channel for this information for the highest good of Stargate New York. You can see here the galactic astrology chart of Stargate New York. This is the basic report, and you can get this report. It's free to anyone on galacticastro.com. Granted, you may not know what much of it or most of it or all of it means. So that's why having a reading is really beneficial. But we see here on the left-hand side, all of the planets and significant points in Stargate New York's birth chart. This will be the same for everybody. We look always at sun, moon, ascendant, and so on. And then all the signs that the planets and points are in. And we also see what constellations are aligned with the planets and the points. So we see here, for example, the sun in Gemini is aligned with the constellation Orion, as well as the galactic. And the galactic is referring to the galactic center, the super galactic center, the great attractor, and the Shapley attractor. All of which are, well, the first two, galactic center, super galactic center, are massive black holes. Galactic center is the center of the Milky Way. The super galactic center is the center of around which the Milky Way and 30 other galaxies are being drawn in. The great attractor and the Shapley attractor are things we don't even understand. It could be multiple black holes, but they have this incredible magnetic force, and everything that we can really see in the universe is being drawn towards them, including us. So these are very powerful points to see in the birth chart. And that's what I mean when we see galactic there. Now, we see for Stargate New York, she was worried that she was only earthly. And it is very obvious that that could not be farther from the truth. Okay. She has connections to the galactic, Virgo constellation, Boots, Lyra, Hydra, Andromeda, another connection with Lyra, Pleiades, Centaurus, the Hydra connection there. So we're seeing some doubling here. So those would be very strong, the two Lyra and the two Hydra. Piscis Austrinus, Ursa Minor, Orion, Hyades, Taurus, Scorpius. Again, we see the galactic, and again, we see Centaurus and Orion repeating. So many soul connections. I'm getting chills. Many soul connections to the galactic for Stargate New York. And we'll see shortly how aptly this nickname is here for her. So the next layer we look at is the birth chart. And if you're new to astrology, this looks like a whole mess to you. But I will just briefly explain. We've got the ascendant here, and this is like your point of incarnation into physicality, into your human body in this life on Earth now. And your ascendant is in Pisces, almost the very end of Pisces. So really awesome, very intuitive sign, very spiritual sign, very much this sign and this archetypal energy having to do with letting go, healing, going with the flow, your creative gifts, more of the divine feminine energy of being able to receive, being able to be loved and nurtured and held, connected with cosmic consciousness. Pisces is all that is. So going around your chart here, we have the first house, the second house. In the third house, we find your beautiful sun in Gemini. Gemini suns are very chatty, are very talkative, very curious, always gathering so much information, loving people, especially in this third house here of your community, really, your local community, your local neighbors and contacts, your early education, your lower mind, so to speak. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of mental activity there. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. And going a little bit backwards here, we see the moon is in Taurus. Beautiful, very different energy. Helps give this Gemini sun some balance. So the moon in Taurus is fixed earth. The moon is exalted in Taurus because that gives you a sense of greater stability, a sense of greater like groundedness and centeredness, especially in the second house of your value, your possessions, your self-worth. So, however, I will say the moon in Taurus at its shadow side would be very stubborn. Okay. And that's where this Gemini sun situation can probably help you be more changeable and more flexible. So that's an interesting dynamic that you're always working with. And even the sun and the moon, we see kind of more information about the dynamic of the mother and the father. So that's another layer to this. But looking around the chart here, I've included various cosmic points. I included the supergalactic center, the Shapley attractor, the great attractor, the galactic center, because we already talked about those and they are significant in your chart. as well as the royal stars, Aldebaran, Antares, and Mars is actually conjunct Fomalhaut. I'm not going to go into that too much, but let's just say you are very much connected to the archangelic beings very strongly. In this aspect table, we see what all these lines in the center mean. So the red lines are more of a tense aspect, more of a challenge, something that's going to be uncomfortable for you in your life so that you actually make changes and grow. The blue lines here are more harmonious aspects between the planets and the points. And these are those smooth flows of energy where things come to you naturally, more your gifts, your talents, your blessings. So we see in this chart here all the different geometries between your planets and points, as well as this elemental table here. And we see that Stargate New York is pretty balanced elementally. She's got water, she's got earth, she's got air, she's got fire, she's got cardinal, fixed, immutable. If anything, there would be more of there's an emphasis maybe on the mutable, but she's very well balanced here. I would say very well balanced in the elements. Some people don't have an element missing or pretty weak, but you're pretty strong everywhere. That moon in Taurus, I imagine, helps. You really stay very grounded with black moon also in Earth, and the vertex point is also in Earth. So looking at your chart too, you have some interesting biquintiles between Saturn and I believe that's the part of fortune. And the biquintiles tell us about our talents. So you have this is really inner authority. You have this talent you're really going to find your sweet spot in life the more you step into your inner authority, which is Saturn, which at an unconscious level, we project that as external authority. Then there's also a quintile between Saturn and Chiron, and this one really made my heart so soft and gooey. Again, this would point to that inner authority, but a real healing ability for stepping into this inner authority. And Chiron is the wounded healer in myth. He was immortal and he was wounded. And he learned all these different healing modalities to heal himself, heal his wound, but he couldn't heal his wound. But in the process, he was of so much service and benefit to others. So in combination with Saturn, I'm really seeing those two energies speak to a soul with a real talent for healing and stepping into your inner authority and really empowering others to do that as well. There's some other biquintiles there as well, but we'll move along. Okay, how does this chart work? Well, it's about stepping down into form multidimensionally. So up at the top, we see the more recent incarnations, and towards the bottom, stopping at Pluto here, we see the more original, very distant past incarnations when we're looking at your soul history. The outer planets are Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, and those alignments show us more information about the first fractals from Source. So at the beginning, we were all merged with Source, with oneness, with God, however you want to think about that. We were all one. And then the soul fractaled off. This creative spark, this creative I am spark was like, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see what's up. And so we look to the outer planets to really learn about what those first fractals were all about. This is very awesome to look at and know more about your soul origin. So Pluto is the farthest out planet, and it's aligned with Hydra. So this would be indicating your soul origin. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Neptune's aligned with Andromeda. So again, there would be ancient soul connections to Andromeda as well as Lyra. the social planets are Saturn and Jupiter. And we get information here about earthly lives connected to, and galactic, because, there were galactic presence during these times of Lemuria, Atlantis, ancient civilizations, all the various yugas, these periods of time, these much larger cycles of time where we experience the golden age, Satya Yuga, we experience the silver age of Treta Yuga, we experience energy ages like the age that we're in now, Dwapara Yuga. We also experience Kali Yuga. So these social planets speak to incarnations during these earlier times. And we see you were definitely present on Earth for these times. You're very old soul with connections to Jupiter, with Hydra, as well as Saturn to the Pleiades and Centaurus. So I know you have connection to Lemuria, and it's looking like very strong evidence in the chart here that you're very connected with Lemuria. I'm sensing on both sides, both as like a human, as an earthling, but also as a galactic being who was influencing from that side of things too. So we look to the personal planets for even more recent earthly lives and galactic lives. So that's Mars, Venus, and Mercury. And your Mars is conjunct or opposite Piscis Australis. So this would suggest that a more recent life association with Piscis Australis. And that this would be having to do a lot with your will, your sense of purpose, your sense of ambition and drive, your motivation. And that Mars is actually aligned with the royal star Fomalhaut, which is connected to Archangel Gabriel, the divine messenger. So I'll let you just meditate on that. The south node and north node, these are nodes of the moon. So these are not actual physical things, but they are points in space that tell us more about the soul past, the past life themes and incarnations that are most relevant to your soul now, your soul growth, your evolution, your intentions for this life. And the north node having to do with where you're going, like what are your intentions? The south node being like that past that you are here to integrate and elevate, and the north node being that future, that kind of newer energy for you that might be a bit uncomfortable. You might only start working really towards it later on in life, and that's perfectly okay as part of the process of the lifetime. So we see you have these very relevant soul connections with Hyades, with Taurus, and with Scorpius. We'll talk more about that in a moment. With the sun, moon, and ascendant, we see even more recent past life connections, and we see you're very galactically connected there, as well as with Centaurus and Orion. So we see through the moon, the mother lineage, there's a connection to Centaurus, and we see with the sun, the father lineage, there's a connection to both Orion and the galactic. And the ascendant can even give us clues about where the soul is going in the future, as well as the north node. So with that ascendant, with the galactic, you could be going, through one of the Stargate portals of the black holes in the galactic. And you also could be visiting Hyades, Taurus, and Scorpius, which we'll talk about in a moment, since that is what your north node is aligned to. Okay, the soul origin. Like I mentioned, your Pluto, the outermost planet we look for that soul origin, is aligned with Hydra constellation. And I've got Hydra drawn in here, along with the star Alphard, which is the one that is directly connected to both your Pluto and your Jupiter. So this is very significant. This tells me you weren't like one and done, Oh, you came in as this soul through Hydra and like then you went everywhere else. You stayed connected. You stayed connected through these Jupiter lifetimes, and those were affecting you. These were lives that were very joyful for you, because the Jupiter alignments tell us about our lifetimes where we were really happy, we were really fulfilled. So this soul connection to Hydra is like a really helpful one, a beneficial one. It's one that's very expansive for you. And the energy of Hydra, it's this great snake sprawled across 3 zodiac signs. So, including Leo, which is where Alphard is, but it's very, very vast. And this is connected with really bringing balance to these divine feminine and divine masculine energies. It's very common for Hydra souls to also be having twin flame relationships. So it's very likely that your soul was a twin flame, was actually, divided kind of into 2 equal parts at that soul origin level. And you travel together with this twin flame. And this is really what made you feel so good. Again, with that Jupiter alignment, like this has been a theme and a pattern for you. And I'm sure it's a theme and a pattern in your life now, really balancing these energies and feeling like there's a part of you that you can find your other half. There's this desire to be connected in that way. And this has to do with, yes, you do have a twin flame out there. Where that twin flame is, that would be for a longer reading. Or maybe you already know, maybe you're already connected. So this is very connected to the serpent and dragon lineages, both in terms of the ancient serpents and dragon beings who are of the galactic, so are of the stars, are of the cosmos, the dragons who actually helped form the earth and hold together the earth and allow the earth to be this physical realm of beauty, of form, and of matter that it actually is today. And we see with the dragon lineages connections to, Avalon and Tibet, the Buddhist traditions, many different mystical traditions working with dragon energy, serpent energy, Kundalini energy, the yogis of India. So this is a very, very much higher consciousness energy in your soul. This is another reason you're definitely drawn so much to the healing work, because your soul is a healer soul with tremendous soul gifts for healing and awakening others. And we see that confirmed very much when we look at your nodes of the moon. You have this healer energy all over your chart, even with that Pisces ascendant as well. So your north node of the moon, like I said, that's representing your future soul growth, your soul intentions for this life. It's in the sign of Sagittarius, in the 9th house of higher mind, higher consciousness, higher learning, topics like astrology, topics like metaphysics, all of these things. I know you're already interested in learning more about your intuition and expanding all of that. And the south node of the moon is in this house of Gemini, lower mind. For it, I know you're working in transport. This would be a very south node in Gemini thing to be doing. And this north node in Sagittarius in the 9th house would be very much your work with spirituality and healing. So very well done. In terms of the alignments, this is such a magical alignment. You see Hyades in both of these places connecting with your south node and your north node. This is very high frequency energy. But what really got my attention is Scorpius conjunct Antares, opposite Aldebaran, and the opposite for your south node. So your nodes of the moon, and I have it drawn in the chart, your south node is conjunct. It's right next to this star, the royal star, Aldebaran. Aldebaran linked to none other than Archangel Michael. Is Archangel Michael a guide for you? I wouldn't be surprised if he is. The Watcher of the East, the element Earth, and the blue ray. This is an energy that your soul is very relevant to your soul's past in this life, earlier in life, as well as the most recent past lives. These themes that are very important for you to heal and integrate so that you can move forward into your North Node in Sagittarius, which is conjunct together with, and I have it drawn in, Antares, another royal star, linked to Archangel Uriel. If you don't already work with him, I might lovingly suggest that you consider it. Add him to your team. Watcher of the West, element water, golden ray. How beautiful is that? So you have this archangelic frequency just streaming through you, your past and your soul intentions, your future in this life as well. So more information about Aldebaran, the past. I included some images here from the QSG certification course with Julia Balaz. These are from her information on Aldebaran, and this is Diana Cooper's Archangel Oracle deck card for Archangel Michael. I think this is a really beautiful image to work with for understanding your past. You know, you've had to be strong. You've had to be in your divine masculine. You've had to stand in your power, be true to yourself. You're really working with that frequency of protection, of healing, of fierce healing and clearing. You know, even a bit of a light warriorship energy I'm getting for you. So this could be a royalty bloodline connection on a soul or human DNA level in your past lives, okay? It's linked to the Abrahamic lineage, King David, King Solomon, the royalty of Mesopotamia, the ancient gods of Mesopotamia, known as the Anunnaki, past lives in Mesopotamia, Sumeria, and later in the times of Jesus and the Essenes. And I really feel that for you. I really do. Yeah. You've been around, and I know you have links with Christianity, and I think we're seeing very strong evidence of just how far back that goes. So the healing for this life is the ancestral wounds having to do with your family lineage, and finding a way to do that for yourself and assist others to do the same, which I know is your intention consciously. You're here to embody divine leadership and become a compassionate guide to help others awaken divinity within themselves. So these are past gifts you bring with yourself. You bring with your soul has these gifts already, and you're here, you're receiving them, you're unlocking them, you're unleashing them so that you can fully move in the direction of this beautiful North Node, conjunct Antares, your future and your soul growth. So I've included here Archangel Uriel from Diana Cooper's Archangel card deck. So come into peace, come into harmony and balance. Use your power for peace. So that feisty energy, the light warrior energy of Archangel Michael is really softening into this more like androgynous energy of Archangel Uriel, who's so balanced, so harmonious, so peaceful, and knows that the way forward is as a light bringer, a light bearer. People who have Antares alignments to their natal planets, especially conjunct alignments, which is what you have, often act unconsciously as a Stargate portal, New York Stargate, activators of higher awareness for others. Antares conjunct alignments are found with many light workers who are called to assist others with their ascension process. So you're officially called to assist others with their ascension process. Congratulations. You are a Stargate for sure. Keep cultivating that Stargate energy for yourself. That's very important for you. Your soul intentions for this life. You intended it. So you're also developing your ability to understand very complex topics like higher consciousness and metaphysics and how does the universe works, how to think strategically, seeing ahead many steps. So really opening that third eye and getting like the long view, the long game, and planning and achieving long-term goals. So not just the immediate gratification, but being on, longer programs of study, for example, and, really understanding if you have these goals that are very important to your soul, that it's going to take a step-by-step process with focus in order to achieve that. So I know you're really connected to Arcturus, and you would be curious about hearing what the soul connection is there. Well, it is there. It's definitely there. You're part of fortune, which is not showing up on this chart, unfortunately. But I marked where Arcturus is. The part of fortune is in the first house here in Aries. And exactly opposite, we see the star Arcturus, which is also conjunct your Neptune and your Shapley. So this would be like really strong. Arcturus on steroids, on cosmic steroids. So the part of fortune is this place in the chart where it's just like, it feels really good. This is where things work. It's where things work. So literally, Arcturus is feeding you this energy, is helping you find more of where does it work for you? Who are you? How can you do relationships? How can you navigate the sacred balance between, again, divine feminine, divine masculine, as well as you being your truth, your inner authority, your soul essence, and coming into relationship with others. This is the polarity of that first house and that seventh house. So the Arcturians 100% are with you, and even conjunct Neptune like they are. This is like they're working with you on a very spiritual level, your spiritual path, your intuition, your surrender into the divine knowingness of who you truly are, and seeking that divine love. I think the Arcturians are really helping you seek and express and know and embody and realize and actualize, authenticate divine love in this life. Here they are in an image I found on the internet. The light beings of Arcturus, they're typically very non-physical, high frequency. And Arcturus is a Stargate. I don't know if I already mentioned that. So Stargate, New York, you have, again, this profound Stargate connection. You are here to be a Stargate for others, and you're being helped by the Arcturians very much as you receive the empowerment and encouragement and motivation to really do that, step into that more and more every single moment. Okay, there's so much more we could look at in one of these readings, and that's just a little taster. But for those of you who are ready to dive deeper, I am offering 40% off the QSG Galactic Astrology Soul Readings with the code I am ready. You're welcome to go to my website and book one of those. The 40% off is only for the first 10 people to book. You receive much more information than what I just gave. It's very thorough and in-depth, and you can read more about what all the session includes and actually customize to really make sure you learn about the aspects and discover the aspects that are most important and relevant for you. The information that's possible is truly infinite. So I hope this gave you, Stargate New York, a taster. Thank you for letting me look at your chart. And everybody else who's here watching, I appreciate you watching. Please feel free to reach out. And again, I am here to support you as a certified quantum soul guidance practitioner. So excited to be stepping into this role and guiding and assisting others in this way. Aho, amen, namaste, and so it is. Mahalo.